Andy, it seems you've depleted your supply of clean clothes. Remember, you agreed to assist with the laundry while I was at work. Now, since you didn't fulfill your part, you're left without anything to wear. Your clothes urgently need washing, or they might have to be replaced due to their condition. My teenage son Andy listened as I addressed him. He understood he hadn't fulfilled his responsibilities and had disappointed me. He hesitated to meet my gaze, knowing it would signify his acknowledgement of failure. Eventually, he inquired about his options for obtaining clean clothes today. I looked at him neither kindly nor crossly and said, "As I see it, you have two choices, my son. Either you can wear nothing under your shirt and jeans, or you can wear some of my things. I wouldn't recommend the first choice as you have sensitive skin and you will find yourself getting chafed in many vulnerable areas. However, the choice is yours." "Mom," Andy pleaded. "I'm a boy. I would feel silly wearing your things. What if someone were to notice? What would I say about having to wear your underwear? I would be so embarrassed." While I listened to his lament, I chose to disregard it. I instructed Andy to remain in his room momentarily while I fetched some items from mine. Upon my return, I handed Andy a pair of underwear, saying, "Please put these on and tidy up, Andy." Andy blushed when I passed him the white satin panties. Initially, he seemed inclined to protest, but he quickly realized the futility of it. Reluctantly, he turned away to spare himself further embarrassment. Shedding his pajama bottoms, he gingerly stepped into the panties. I could almost sense a sigh of relief as he adjusted the garment. Reminding him to conceal any bulges, he complied swiftly. When he turned back to face me, his conflicting emotions were evident. One part of him savored the silky sensation against his skin, while another part grappled with societal norms dictating boys' attire. Following that, I persuaded him to remove his pajama top and offered him a white satin and lace camisole to put on. Showing a slightly lesser reluctance compared to his response to the panties, he accepted the camisole and pulled it over his head, settling it onto his chest. Then, I provided him with a pair of black knee-high stockings, explaining that he lacked clean socks as well. Furthermore, at a casual glance, these knee-highs could easily pass for dark black socks. With a pretended display of hesitation, he sat down and methodically donned the knee-highs. I smiled inwardly watching my son put on my stocking and lingerie. I then handed him a silky, white short-sleeved blouse. When Andy saw the blouse, he again grew upset. "But Mom," Andy wailed, "that's not a shirt. That's one of your blouses. While it's very plain, it's still a blouse. I'm not a girl and I'm not wearing any more women's things." I gave him a stern look and his resistance withered as quickly as it had arisen. He slid the blouse on his arms and over his body. He had some trouble fastening it, because the buttons were reversed from his shirts. I offered to assist him in buttoning the blouse, but he said he would manage somehow. I noticed that he furtively let his hands feel the fabric of the blouse on his arms and over his chest as he buttoned it. "Andy, you may as well put on these black pull-on pants too." "No need for a belt," I suggested. I could tell his reluctance was merely a facade now, and he wasn't genuinely opposed to wearing my belongings. He proceeded to slip into a pair of my flats, which fitted his feet flawlessly. For a few moments, Andy simply gazed at me before speaking. "Mom, I never realized how comfortable these clothes could be on me. Is it strange for me to enjoy wearing these soft, silky fabrics?" I reassured him gently, affirming that there was nothing amiss about wearing women's attire and highlighting that many men appreciated the sensation of silk and satin against their skin. He then inquired, "Do you think I would appear attractive fully dressed as a girl? I mean, would makeup and styling my hair make me appear less masculine?" I assured him that, in my opinion, he could be a very elegant young lady with the appropriate attire, hair, and makeup. Subsequently, I asked if he would like to see himself transformed into a girl. He offered a shy smile and nodded eagerly. Following my instructions, Andy entered my room and settled at my vanity, positioning himself with his back to the mirror. Prior to commencing with his makeup, I draped a pink plastic shampoo cape over him. "Are you certain you want to proceed with this?" I inquired. Meeting my gaze, he smiled and nodded affirmatively. Proceeding, I applied a thin layer of liquid foundation across his face, setting it with powder. Delicately, I brushed a light touch of pink blush along his cheekbones. Having him close his eyes, I gently swept pink eyeshadow onto his lids. After completing his eyelids, I instructed him to open his eyes and remain very still while I applied mascara to his upper and lower lashes. Finally, I outlined his lips with a lipstick pencil and filled them in with multiple layers of creamy pink lipstick. To finish, I directed him to press his lips together onto a tissue to blot them. "Andy, instead of fussing with your hair right now, let me fetch something from my closet for you." "No peeking at the work in progress," I remarked. Andy grinned and assured me of his patience. Heading to my closet, I retrieved a wig box I had stored there. Upon opening it, I extracted a beautiful wig from its stand. The wig was styled with outward curling ends, matching both my own hair color and coincidentally, Andy's. Placing the wig onto his head, I gently brushed it, ensuring the bangs fell neatly across his forehead. "Are you prepared to see the final result?" I queried. Anxiously, Andy nodded, and I instructed him to turn and face the mirror. He stood in stunned silence for a few moments upon beholding his reflection. Eventually, he turned to me and uttered, "Mom, I look even better than I imagined. I feel quite beautiful. Actually, I resemble you quite closely to some of the old photos I've seen of you at my age." I returned his smile at the comparison and acknowledged the striking resemblance. I expressed to Andy that he looked truly lovely and would have been charming if he had been born a girl. Leaning down, I gave him a brief hug. After again looking in the mirror, Andy then said that if he had a feminine chest, he would really look like a girl. I asked if he would like to temporarily experience having a feminine chest. "Mom, I would love it," he replied eagerly. I removed his shampoo cape and had him carefully take off his blouse and camisole so as not to muss up his hair or makeup. I then opened my lingerie drawer and removed several items. I had him slide the straps of a white, satiny bra on his arms and over his shoulders. Lovingly, I hooked the back of the bra for him. I then put some realistic B-sized silicone forms into the cups of his bra, giving him the feel of the added weight on his chest. He smiled again as he viewed his girlish image in the mirror. "Isabella, my dear, would you prefer wearing a dress instead of a blouse and pants?" I inquired. Andy noticed the use of a feminine name and grinned widely, expressing his interest in wearing a dress. As he removed the flats, knee-highs, and pull-on pants, I retrieved a charming dark green satin dress with short sleeves and a full skirt from my closet. Additionally, I fetched a full satin slip, garter belt, and black stockings from my drawer, offering them to Isabella to wear. I explained how she should wear her garter belt and she followed my instructions perfectly. Next, I showed her how to put on her stockings and attach them to the garters without causing any runs in them. As she slid the satin and lace slip carefully over her head and down her body, I watched as she experienced the sensations of the satin on her body. I then handed her the dress. "It's lovely, Mom. But I have never seen you wear this dress before." It was my turn to smile as I explained that I had gotten the dress especially for her, with hopes that she would wear it one day. I told Isabella that I knew she would make a lovely girl and I wanted to have a lovely dress ready for my new daughter to wear, just in case. She delicately pulled it over her head and adjusted it around her waist. Lifting the top, she slipped her arms into the sleeves. Turning towards me, she requested, "Mom, can you zip me up?" Swiftly, I assisted in zipping up the dress for my daughter. Guiding her to sit on the bed, I assisted her in putting on a pair of 1-inch heels. Supporting Isabella as she rose, I ensured her stability and held onto her as she took her initial unsteady steps in heels. Observing as my daughter gradually mastered walking in heels, she took cautious, measured steps, maintaining her balance. Isabella returned to the vanity once more for some final touches. I adorned her neck with a single strand of simulated pearls, placed pearl clip-on earrings on her ears, and then spritzed her with a feminine perfume. Encouraging her to walk around, I observed how the dress complemented her from every angle. I must confess, it fit her perfectly. As Isabella settled on the bed, effortlessly smoothing the skirt of her dress as if it were second nature, I began to speak. Isabella, I realize we've made significant progress in a short time. I hope you don't feel pressured or rushed, but... My words faltered, unable to continue. Isabella met my gaze, prompting, "But what, Mom?" I regained my voice and continued. Isabella, there is one more dress I would like to see you wear sometime. It doesn't have to be today. It's a special dress for me and I want it to be special for you. Would you wear my wedding gown, so I might see you in it? Isabella smiled and asked me if I wanted her to model it. I replied, "No, dear. I want to see how my daughter would look as a lovely bride." She leaned forward and hugged me, saying she would be pleased to wear my bridal gown. I then said that maybe she would like to wear my wedding night negligee to bed sometime. She smiled and nodded, saying she would be proud to wear my negligee to bed. I struggled to hold back the tears of joy, but I did not succeed. My eyes flooded as I smiled at my pretty daughter. I reached out and gave her a big hug. Regaining my composure, I said I wanted to show my pretty daughter off to the world. Would my Isabella be interested in going out to eat and then going shopping? Isabella smiled and said she would love to go out as my daughter. The rest of the day was a typical mother-daughter outing. We talked. We laughed. We shopped. In general, we just had a good time. At bedtime, I watched as Isabella changed from her dress and lingerie into a knee-length pink satin nightgown with lace all over. She looked so innocent and adorable in the pink satin. As she got into bed, she looked at me and said, "Mom, I had fun being Isabella today. It was very nice." I hugged her and said that, hopefully, there would be many more occasions for my lovely Isabella to join me and be the daughter I have always dreamed of having. Isabella smiled and said, "I am looking forward to all the times that I can be your Isabella." Good night, Mom. Good night, dear. Pleasant feminine dreams.